So what happens when you break a bone? I don't know if you can detect something wrong with this x-ray. This is my husband's x-ray, with his permission, of course. Do you see that that doesn't look like it's supposed to be there? Okay. That's his clavicle that he broke a few years ago, and he broke the living hell out of it. So let's talk about how that repaired. So repair of fractures is right here, figure 616. It's pretty easy because it is really just kind of a slight modification of really endochondral ossification. So basically what's going to happen is first you have to stop the bleeding. So a hematoma is just a fancy word for a bruise. So the blood clot will fill the broken ends, and it's just basically a blood clot or a bruise. Luckily, in a healthy person, bone usually clots relatively readily because calcium is one of the neat things that's needed for blood clotting, and it's got lots of it. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start to form a really, really strong cartilage callus. So what will happen is, remember that we had mesenchymal cells kind of hanging out around our blood vessels, sort of left over. They'll migrate in and start to differentiate into fibroblasts, make some fibers, and some chondroblasts, make some cartilage. And so they're going to start secreting the cartilage matrix and then an excessive amount of collagen fibers, because collagen is, of course, the strongest of the fibers. So basically what I'm going to have is this little pad. It's called a fibrocartilage callus. It's cartilage. Even though that was originally hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage is stronger. So basically the strongest of the cartilages is going to be there. And now that I have my fibrocartilage callus, this protrudes and bulges beyond the outer surface. And depending on how much you can immobilize this and how your nutrition is, this may be 3 to 4 weeks into the healing process. It can take much longer if you can't immobilize it. Then what will happen is you'll start the ossification process right in that fibrocartilage callus. And so you're going to start to form a bony callus, but you're going to form the easiest type of bone first, and you know which one that is. You're going to invade that fibrocartilage callus with blood vessels, bringing osteoblasts, osteoclasts, and osteoprogenitor cells. And you're going to start to do endochondral ossification. And it's still going to protrude out the sides there. Usually you can see it and feel it. This usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks. If the bones are immobilized and the nutrition and circulation is good. And then, even though this isn't done, because we've still got remodeling to do, usually if it's casted, you're going to take the cast off at this point. Any idea why you would do that? Why would you take the cast off when, if you broke this thing snowboarding and you went snowboarding, it's going to break again right there if you take it off then. So what's the advantage to taking the cast off when it's not done yet? Any idea? Do you remember what bone does when you give it a little mechanical stress? It stimulates osteoblasts. So what we need to do is we need to give it a little safe mechanical stress. If you do that and you don't actually break it and you give it a while, this can take months. What it's eventually going to do is the remodeling, in which it scoops out the medullary cavity and then it remodels the spongy bone at the edges back to compact bone. But there will always be a record that it occurred here, and it will look like an interruption because it was kind of like where an epiphyseal plate was. There's always a remnant. So there's always on an x-ray a remnant of where that break occurred, and that can be important clinically. So later on, there may be little or to no sign of injury from the outside. X-rays you can always tell, and this area can actually be slightly stronger than the areas around it. But if you don't wait for it to heal all the way, or if it heals all the way and it's really weak right around it, it can break around that. In the next video, we'll talk about osteopenia and osteoporosis, how you start to lose bone mass as you age and with certain diseases.